I was holding my beer glass, boasting to my childhood friend lounging about my experience spending half a month in a Brazilian drug lord's lair. Just as I reached the most thrilling part, my phone rang. On the screen flashed 3 characters, Song Jia. I paused for a moment, then answered. On the other end came her typically calm voice, Lin Jiashu, there's a conflict in the Middle East, the company needs you there. Half the alcohol buzz instantly faded. Song Jia, are you joking? The station manager specially approved a month-long leave for me, and it's only the 5th day, special circumstances. Her tone was flat, you need to come back to the company now, the flight ticket is booked, you leave tonight. The call ended. Old Jing saw my expression and asked, what's wrong? I didn't say a word, downed my drink in one gulp, grabbed my coat, and headed out. I couldn't figure it out along the way. In the midst of warring African warlords, I lay hidden under gunfire for a full 2 weeks, completing an interview while battling malaria, on the trip involving the Brazilian drug lord. At the most critical moment when a gun was pressed to my head, I managed to save my own life. Thanks to my fluent Portuguese and, I'd like to think, my considerable emotional intelligence, these 2 interviews won 2 international journalism awards, bringing great prestige to our TV station and even edging out CCTV. The station director personally approved my leave, telling me to take a good month off, but it's only been 5 days. Why me again? Filled with questions, I pushed open the company's main door and headed straight for Song Jia's office. She's the director of the news department and also my secret girlfriend of 3 years. The company doesn't allow office romances, so we've kept it hidden, even though we live together. But even for something as simple as going to work, we had to leave separately. We agreed that once the station director retires and she gets another promotion, we would make our marriage public. The door was slightly ajar. Just as I was about to push it open, a man's voice came from inside. Thanks a lot, Sister Song Jia, for doing me this favor, letting Lin Jiashu go to the Middle East in my place. Missiles there have no eyes, going there is a near-death experience. The voice belonged to Jiang Chen, a male journalist who had joined the company 2 years ago. He had a clean, fair face, and his smile was utterly harmless. He's exactly the type of little puppy dog that women like. Unlike me, all his interviews are with financial big shots, socialites, and movie, TV, and sports stars. His skills are very average, but somehow his status at the station has risen unusually fast. Within 2 years, he's on equal footing with me, the chief reporter. Pfft, don't jinx it with your nonsense. Song Jia turned her head and spat a few times on the ground, interrupting him with a laugh in her voice. Someone like you, who can't even take care of yourself on a normal day, would be going to your death if you went. Lin Jiashu is capable, he'll be fine. I stood outside the door, and as I listened to their conversation, my head buzzed. The vacation I fought so hard to get was given by my girlfriend to another man, and on top of that, she wants to send me off to the battlefield. Too. Jiang Chen had been under Song Jia's guidance since he first arrived. As a college graduate alone in a foreign city, Song Jia usually took care of him quite a bit, but if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes today, no one could have convinced me that she would take care of things to such an extent. Usually, Song Jia is very good to me. Could it all have been an act? Before I could recover from the shock, the following conversation made me feel as if I had fallen into an ice cellar. Jiang Chen added, but this mission of his is indeed very difficult. If he succeeds, it will shock the whole world. Then, wouldn't the position of deputy director of the news department in our group company be? I didn't finish my sentence, but the meaning was clear. Ever since I started working, I've been the one sent to cover major world-level stories and events. This position should have been mine long ago. Don't worry, this position is still yours, that won't change. Song Jia's voice was gentle to the point of being grating. This opening is rare, and for you, it's a now or never opportunity. But Lin Jiashu has the talent, he'll have plenty of other chances. Hearing this, I couldn't hold back any longer. I kicked the door open, and the door panel slammed against the wall with a deafening crash. The 2 people in the office turned at the same time. Song Jia sat behind her desk, her makeup immaculate, her expression one of stunned disbelief. Jiang Chen stood beside her, a fawning smile still lingering on his face. Jiashu, why are you? How did you? Song Jia stood up, a flicker of panic in her voice, but she quickly composed herself. When did you arrive? She was testing whether I had heard what they just said, but she didn't even stop to think. If I hadn't heard anything, would I have been impulsive enough to kick the door open? I didn't speak, just looked at her. This woman in front of me, we had been living together for 3 years, and I had taken care of her in every possible way for 3 years. She worked overtime until late at night, and I was always waiting downstairs at the company to pick her up. When she was stressed and couldn't sleep, I would massage her head and only go to sleep after she had drifted off. For 3 years, I gave her my all. Jiashu, let me explain. She walked over and tried to take my hand. I pulled away from her. Get the hell out of here. Explain what? What's there even to explain? Jiang Chen, at that moment, actually forced out a few tears of grievance, slapping his own mouth as he cried, "It's all my fault, my fault. I made brother Jiashu misunderstand, I deserve to die, I should go to my death." Song Jia immediately turned and grabbed his hand, "Don't talk nonsense, it's not your fault." Then she turned back to look at me, speaking with a natural and unapologetic tone, "This assignment is for someone capable, anyone without ability would be going to their death, so it has to be you. Is there a problem with that?" I stared at her and asked, word by word, "So, for his sake, you're sending me into a war zone?" She frowned and avoided my gaze. "What do you mean, for him? This is a work arrangement. What about the deputy director position? Is that a work arrangement too?" She hesitated for a second, then said, "Jiang Chen needs this opportunity more, you have more seniority, there will be plenty of chances in the future." I laughed, 3 years of love, and in her eyes, it meant less than some rookie who knew how to whine and play the victim. "I'm not going, whoever wants to go, go." She was stunned. "What?" She seemed a bit surprised by my reaction. I said I'm not going. I looked at her. "I'm willing to take risks for work, but not for another man. Especially not for a man who's been messing around with my girlfriend." Song Jia's face changed. "What do you mean? What's not clear?" "Lin Jiashu, you need to have a conscience when you speak." "I don't have a conscience." I pointed at Jiang Chen. "Why did he come to you? Why did you help him get out of the task? What kind of relationship do you have that makes you help him like this?" Jiang Chen cried even harder. "It's all my fault. All my fault, sis, just let me go, even if I'm incapable and die. I don't want people to look down on me." "Then fucking do what you say, don't cry like a kid," I yelled at him, and he flinched in fear. Song Jia stood in front of him, glaring at me. "Lin Jiashu, don't go too far, he's been with me ever since he arrived. What's wrong with me taking care of him a bit? Being so petty is really disappointing." "You want to take care of him?" I nodded. "Fine, go ahead, you can take care of him however you like. I don't owe him anything, if you insist on me going, then I'll quit." From the moment I overheard their conversation just now, I gave up. A woman who would send her own boyfriend to the battlefield for another man is not someone I dare to keep. She was completely stunned, as if she couldn't believe what she had just heard. "What did you say?" I said I'm resigning. I repeated every word. "I'm done." Song Jia's expression shifted from shock to a cold sneer. "Resigning over something so trivial, Lin Jiashu, is that really necessary? When life is at stake, how is it not necessary?" But you've done this kind of mission countless times, and nothing ever happened to you." Lin Chen is young and inexperienced. She walked over to take my hand, patiently trying to explain. I grabbed her hand and flung it away, sending her stumbling to the ground. "What does his age have to do with me? What does it matter if he lives or dies? If you feel sorry for him, go yourself. I'm not his father, and I have no obligation to take care of him." Song Jia completely lost her patience. Her expression no longer showed the guilt-ridden explanation from before, but instead took on the lofty air of a leader. "Lin Jiashu, I'm informing you, not negotiating with you." Then she approached me, lowered her voice, and said in a tone only the two of us could hear, "Be good, Jiashu, if you come back this time, I promise you, after you return, we'll get married." Her face was full of confidence, convinced that this would surely have me wrapped around her finger, but she did have reason to be confident. She was sexy, beautiful, the station's leading lady, successful in her career, and the strongest candidate for future station director. I pushed her away and said mockingly, "What makes you think I would marry a woman who values other men more than me? How dare you have the nerve to say that with a straight face?" Then I turned to Lin Chen, who was still pretending to look pitiful, and said, "This woman and I have been together for 3 years. She's about 70% new now, just a bit worn out. I don't want her anymore." I was deliberately trying to discuss them. Even if it's a dish I've grown tired of from overeating, I'd still spit into it so that no one else could have a taste. With that, I turned and walked away. Behind me came Song Jia's voice, tinged with panic. "Lin Jiashu, what nonsense are you talking? Stop right there. For even though I'm on vacation now, it's almost mealtime, and the cafeteria food is pretty good, so I decided to eat before leaving. Not sure why, but I was especially hungry today. I piled my tray high, found a spot, and sat down. While I was wolfing down my food, I sensed someone placing a tray in front of me. I looked up and saw Song Jia standing there with a smile, pushing a bowl of soup toward me. "Jiashu, I've thought it over. You're right." She smiled as she placed the soup in front of me, her tone as gentle as if nothing had ever happened. "I've decided to let Jiang Chen go on his own. If he doesn't get some exercise, he'll never be ready for such an important task. You just take your time off." I looked at her, wondering how her attitude could have changed so drastically in such a short time, but her smile was too sincere, her voice too tender, just like countless ordinary noontimes over the past 3 years. I was indeed thirsty. I picked up the bowl, finished it in a few gulps, and after that, I couldn't remember a thing. When I woke up again, I found myself strapped into the seat by the seatbelt. Outside the window was a sea of clouds, and my mind felt groggy, as if filled with lead. I took out my phone and saw a WeChat message from Song Jia. "I'm sorry, this is the last time, come back, and we'll get married." The message had been sent 4 hours ago. I stared at it for a long time, and finally understood what had been in that bowl of soup. She had been suffering from severe insomnia due to stress, and always kept strong sleeping pills in her bag. She was afraid I wouldn't go, afraid that her pretty boy would really go off to die, so, sending me off on a plane like this, fuck it, when I get back, I'll take back everything that's mine, and make you two bastards pay. "Teacher Lin, you're awake." A gentle voice sounded beside me. I turned my head and saw a young face, Chen Shui, an intern who had been with the company for 6 months. I had supervised her a few times. The young woman didn't talk much, but she worked diligently, unlike other interns who were eager to claim credit. "Why did you come too?" I asked, my voice hoarse. "Don't you know how dangerous this is? It's different from before. This is war, with missiles whizzing overhead." She handed me a bottle of water. "The boss said I should come and take care of you." I took a sip of water and said nothing. Song Jia kept saying that Jiang Chen was too young to take care of himself, yet she sent the even younger Chen Shui to the war zone. True, the older ones are all hardened veterans, who would want to take such a risk, but Chen Shui actually looked quite happy, her eyes sparkling. "Teacher Lin, I'm really glad to be on a business trip with you. I can learn so much." I looked at her and suddenly asked, "Aren't you afraid?" She paused for a moment, then nodded honestly. "Yeah, I'm actually a little scared, but since we're already here, there's no turning back." Her honesty made me chuckle. "That's true, since we're already here." 5. It was even more chaotic here than I had imagined. On the third day after our arrival, 2 artillery shells landed near the base. Chen Shui turned pale with fright when she heard the explosions for the first time, but she gritted her teeth without making a sound and even poured me a glass of water. "Teacher Lin, have some water." I noticed her hand trembling slightly as she held the cup, and suddenly felt a bit sorry for this young woman. "From now on, just call me Jiashu." Her eyes lit up. "Really?" "Yeah." From that day on, she really started calling him Brother Jiashu every time. Gradually, I realized that Chen Shui was the complete opposite of Song Jia. Song Jia was the director of the news department, highly capable and decisive in her actions, yet in daily life, she relied entirely on me to take care of her. We lived together for 3 years. For 3 years, I cooked, did the laundry, and tidied up the house. When she came home, she would always just flop down on the sofa and wait for me to take care of everything. But Chen Shui is different. Even though she is an intern, she handles household chores with ease. Where she lives is modest, but she keeps it spotless every day. She can also cook, whipping up 4 dishes and a soup with extremely limited ingredients, and plating them so beautifully it's almost unreal. The first time I tasted her cooking, I was stunned for a long time. "What's wrong, Brother Jiashu? Doesn't it taste good?" She looked at me nervously. "No, it's delicious," I said, lowering my head to shovel rice into my mouth, so delicious that it reminded me. It's been 3 years, and Song Jia has never cooked me a single meal. We spent over 10 days in the war zone, me doing interviews and her filming. Then other colleagues sent back the reports. Missiles flew overhead and bullets whistled past my ears. I experienced several hair-raising close calls without getting hurt. Each time, I protected Chen Shui perfectly, and afterward, she would cook and do laundry for me, taking care of my daily needs. It felt strange. This place was a death sentence, yet for the first time, I experienced what it was like to be looked after by someone. It felt really good. One evening, we sat in our humble dwelling, the star-filled sky above us. Occasional cannon booms could be heard in the distance, but here it was very quiet. Chen Shui suddenly asked, "Jiashu, what do you most want to do when you go back this time?" What else could I want to do? Of course, take back what originally belonged to me, and then get fierce revenge on that despicable couple. But after a moment's thought, I decided not to say that. I want to travel. I want to go to Xinjiang and Tibet. I've heard the scenery there is beautiful. I want to go too. I turned my head to look at her. She was gazing intently at the stars, her profile softly outlined by the moonlight. Somewhere in my heart, something stirred gently. 6. For that interview, we arranged to meet a local militia leader. The reason they agreed to see us was the suitcase full of medicine I had brought, which Chen Shui had stuffed into my luggage before we left, saying it might come in handy. "How did you think to bring this?" I asked her at the time. She said, "I've read many reports from war correspondents. Sometimes medicine is more useful than gold." It really was. The other person's eyes lit up at the sight of that box of medicine. What was supposed to be a 20-minute interview stretched into over an hour of conversation. On the way back, Chen Shui sat in the bumpy car, clutching the equipment, and said quietly, "Jiashu, I was so nervous just now, my hands were shaking." I glanced at her hands. They were indeed still trembling. Then how did you stay so calm? I learned it from you, she laughed. Didn't you always say that the more dangerous the situation, the calmer you have to be, because fear won't solve anything? I was taken aback for a moment. I had said that casually when I was mentoring her. Never expected her to remember it all this time. The car bumped along the rough, pitted road. In the distance, sporadic gunfire could be heard. Chen Shui suddenly leaned a little closer to me and murmured, Jiaxu, if we make it back safely this time, I'd like to treat you to a meal. Don't you cook for me every day? That's different. She lowered her head. I want to treat you to something nice. I looked at her downcast lashes, and an indescribable warmth rose in my heart. Okay, I said, you treat me, and I'll treat you back. We'll take turns. She looked up, her eyes sparkling. So? It's settled then. It's settled. 7. On the 12th day of the interview, we secured a meeting with an important figure. He is the second in command of a local faction, keeps a low profile, and never gives interviews. It took us several layers of connections just to secure an opportunity. The meeting place was set at an abandoned school, and he only gave us 15 minutes. We arrived early, set up the equipment, and waited. Chen Shui sat next to me, clutching a piece of chocolate in her hand. She broke off half and handed it to me. When you're nervous, eating something sweet helps you not be afraid. I took it and put it in my mouth. Indeed, sweetness can help people relax. The appointed time arrived, and the other party appeared punctually. He was a man in his 50s, dressed in local traditional clothing, with sharp eyes. With the interpreter by our side, we began the interview. The first 10 minutes went smoothly. The other party was cautious but willing to answer questions. At the 12th minute, a piercing alarm suddenly sounded in the distance. Chen Shui and I exchanged a glance, both seeing the tension in each other's eyes. The other party abruptly stood up, said something to the interpreter, and left without another word. We quickly packed up our equipment as the sound of a violent explosion erupted not far away. Run. Without time to think, I grabbed Chen Shui's hand and rushed outside. The bombing had come too fast. We had just reached the doorway when another explosion went off behind us. The massive blast knocked me to the ground. I turned my head and saw Chen Shui's terrified eyes, saw her instinctively lunge toward me. In that flash of an instant, I had only one thought. She was still so young. With all my strength, I pushed her out the door. Then everything went black, and I could hear nothing. 7. I don't know how long passed before I regained consciousness. My entire body ached, as if someone had hammered every inch of me. My mouth was full of blood, my eyes couldn't open, and my ears were ringing, but I felt a pair of hands desperately digging the rubble off my body. Those hands were thin, small, and trembling. 1 scoop, 2 scoops, 3 scoops, the sound of a fingernail splitting, the warmth of blood dripping onto my face. Someone was crying, shouting between sobs, Brother Jiaxu, wake up, please wake up. It was Chen Shui. I wanted to answer, but my throat felt blocked. Unable to make any sound, all I could feel were those hands, digging stubbornly. Frantically, I don't know how long had passed when I was pulled out of the ruins. Then, someone carried me on their back. It was an extremely thin back, so bony it made my whole body ache, but that person walked steadily, step by step, gasping heavily yet never stopping. I want to say, put me down and go find help, but I can't make a sound. I can only feel those hands holding me tightly, feel her footsteps faltering, feel her breathing growing heavier and heavier. Keep walking, I don't know how long we had walked. Suddenly, her legs gave way and she knelt on the ground. But she didn't let me fall. She braced herself with her hands on the ground and struggled to stand back up. We kept walking. After walking a bit further, she suddenly spoke, her voice hoarse as sandpaper. Jiaxu, don't fall asleep, talk to me. I couldn't speak. You said, the more dangerous the moment, the calmer you must be. Her voice came in fragments. Right now, I am very calm, so you must be calm too. I don't know how long passed before Chen Shui's voice sounded again. We're here, Jiaxu. We're here. Then, I felt her lurch forward. We fell to the ground together, but in the last second before losing consciousness, I heard her shout with the last of her strength, help, somebody help me. 8. Go back to the previous day, in Song Jia's office at the domestic TV station's news department. Ever since she arrived at work that morning, Song Jia's right eyelid had been twitching non-stop, leaving her feeling inexplicably restless. It must be because I worked late last night, she thought. She had stayed at the station until very late the night before and returned to a pitch-dark home. When Lin Jiaxu was at home, no matter how late she came back, there was always a warm meal waiting for her. After the meal, the bathwater was ready at just the right temperature. After taking a bath, Lin Jiaxu gave her a massage while chatting with her. This home was her warmest harbor. She had arrived home last night after 11 p.m., turned on the kitchen light, and everything was exactly as she had left it in the morning. The sink was piled high with unwashed dishes. Song Jia frowned, opened the fridge, and took out bread and milk. She had high standards for food. She would rather make do with a simple meal than order takeout. after eating a few bites of dry bread and drinking a glass of iced milk, she rinsed off and went to bed. In the middle of the night, she was woken by a sharp, piercing stomach pain. She turned the whole house upside down but couldn't find the medicine kit anywhere, so she had no choice but to endure the pain in silence until dawn. A deep panic in her heart pulled her back to reality. She didn't understand what was happening. She had never experienced anything like this before. Although years of social drinking had caused her to develop a severe stomach condition, her heart had always been perfectly fine. Could it be? She took out her phone and dialed the number that had 325 missed calls in the call log. Joshua, please, you have to answer, let me know you're okay, hello, the number you have dialed is temporarily unavailable. Thud. The phone slipped to the ground. Song Jia's face turned deathly pale. She knew that due to the nature of his job, Lin Jiashu's phone was always reachable for 12 hours a day. This situation had never happened before, and she knew exactly what it meant. She started calling Chen Shui again. Before leaving, she had instructed Chen Shui to take good care of Lin Jiashu in daily life. The call didn't go through, and she couldn't reach any of the other staff members either. Just then, the office door opened, and Lin Chen walked in. Sister Song Jia, I've had my eye on something recently. He only realized something was wrong when the others had said half of what they wanted to say. Song Jia was squatting on the ground, holding her phone in a panic, dialing numbers over and over again. Her eyes were red, as if she was about to cry, and she kept muttering something under her breath. He couldn't imagine what earth-shattering event could have turned this strong woman, who usually exuded overwhelming confidence in any situation and remained unflinching even if the sky fell, into such a state. What's wrong with you, sis? Lin Chen walked over, trying to help her up, but Song Jia pushed him away. Why didn't you knock before coming in? Song Jia glared at him with red-rimmed eyes. She knew how disheveled she looked right now, and it was embarrassing to be seen like this. Lin Chen was dumbfounded. What was wrong with his usually caring and amiable beautiful boss today? Besides, he had never knocked before when entering in the past. I did knock. You must not have heard me. Is there something you need? Song Jia wiped the tears from her face, her tone naturally icy cold. It's nothing, really nothing. Lin Chen wasn't stupid. He noticed Song Jia's grim expression and realized that if he told her the truth, asking her to accompany him to look at an apartment while borrowing some money for the down payment, the timing seemed off. Just then, looking down, he saw that Song Jia's phone screen was on Lin Jiashu's dialing page. Suddenly, he understood what was going on. She was anxious because she couldn't reach him. Then, with a quick shift in thought, he put on a smiling face. Sister Song Jia, I'm here to bring you some good news. I just heard some good news from over there. Brother Jiashu and his team have gotten in touch with a major figure, and they're currently conducting an interview. Really? Upon hearing this, Song Jia's shoulders relaxed as she let out a long breath. When interviewing important figures, it is necessary to turn off one's phone. It's true. That's the latest update from over there. Watching Song Jia's expression, she had been terrified just moments ago. Before, having him by her side had only felt reassuring and dependable. Later, when he returned from business trips, there was also the sweetness of a reunion after a brief separation. But when she couldn't reach him and thought something had happened, she realized that her whole world was falling apart. This is probably what people mean when they say you don't cherish someone when they're by your side, and only regret the loss when they're gone. Now, she actually felt a sense of relief as if surviving a disaster, and her mood immediately improved. Lin Chen even looked much more agreeable to her. Go get ready, we'll attend an event together at noon. Okay, I'll go right away, Lin Chen replied and walked out. As soon as he stepped out, his face turned gloomy, thinking about how Song Jia's attitude changed so quickly upon hearing that Lin Jiashu was fine. His eyes turned malicious. It would be best if you died there, otherwise, even if I become the deputy director, you won't have it easy. Middle Eastern Country Hospital. When I opened my eyes, I was already in a hospital bed, in excruciating pain, but my life was saved. The nurse told me that the girl I was with had carried me on her back for 3 kilometers to find the hospital. She collapsed from exhaustion and is now in the next ward. The nurse, who looked to be in her 30s, had come from our country on a humanitarian relief mission. 3 kilometers, I was stunned. Yes, 3 kilometers from where you had the accident to here, the nurse marveled. A young girl carrying a big man on her back, walking 3 kilometers, her hands were covered in blood. But she never let go. I fell silent, never expecting that a girl who looked so delicate and pretty could possess such immense perseverance. When Chen Shui came to visit me, her hands were wrapped in bandages. She stood by my bed, her eyes red, yet forcing a smile. Jia Shu, you're awake. I wanted to say something, but my throat felt as if it were blocked. After a long moment, I managed to utter, does it hurt? She shook her head. No, are you stupid? Can't you just put me down and go find someone? Her tone was very gentle, But her expression was firm. No, it's too chaotic out there. What if something happens to you? You saved my life. When we get back home, I'll treat you properly. So tell me, what do you want to eat, or where would you like to travel? She shook her head again. Neither. Thanks. If anyone should be grateful, it's me thanking you. If you hadn't pushed me out, we'd both have been crushed in there. I didn't know what came over me at the time. I just felt that you were a good person, the kindest one I've met since entering the workforce. If I didn't do everything I could to save you, it would be like losing something important. Hearing her say that, my eyes suddenly turned red. I looked at this girl who had been with the company for less than a year and couldn't help but compare her to Song Jia. She was 5 years younger than Song Jia. They were alike in that both were beautiful, but different in that one was a composed, decisive social elite with a cool personality, the other was a gentle, slightly naive girl next door just starting out in society. One is a woman who would send her own boyfriend to the battlefield for another man, the other is the one who dug me out of the ruins with her own hands and carried me for 3 kilometers on her back. I think I have found the woman I can spend my life with and protect with my very life. Thinking of this, I choked up and said, Chen Shui, what's up? She looked at me with her big, sparkling eyes, as if asking what I needed. Will you be my girlfriend? She was stunned, not expecting me to say that, and her face instantly turned red. What are you talking about? You haven't gone delirious from that bump on the head, have you? I'm not. I'm perfectly clear-headed. It's okay if you say no right now. I'm just letting you know that starting now, I'm going to pursue you. I have great confidence in myself because I know my strength lies in perseverance. She turned her face away and lowered her head, remaining silent for a long time. So, is it a yes or no? Give me an answer. Seeing her shy and blushing look, I couldn't help teasing her. I have to go back and talk to my mom about it first. My mom said that when it comes to dating, I must tell her, hey, it worked out, and she's a mommy's girl and a good girl. I like her even more now. Ha ha ha. Ouch. I laughed happily, but it tugged at my wound, making me grimace in pain. Jiashu, what's wrong? Chen Shui walked over and anxiously checked my wound, taking advantage of her unpreparedness. I pulled her into my arms, lowered my head, and kissed her lips. Her eyes widened, and she tried to push me away, but I didn't let go and deepened the kiss. Slowly, the strength in her hands faded, until finally her body softened and her arms wrapped around my neck. 8. I lay in the hospital for a week, and Chen Shui stayed by my bedside the entire time. She peeled fruit for me, read the news aloud, and fearing I would get bored, found all sorts of topics to chat with me. My injuries had mostly healed when we were sent back home. After all, the conditions for recovery are better in our own country. The moment the plane touched down, I suddenly felt a bit dazed. When we left, I had been sedated and carried on board. Now, coming back, there was an extra person by my side, a blessing in disguise, I suppose. We walked off the plane with our fingers tightly interlocked. At the airport exit, I saw Song Jia. She stood in the crowd, though she had clearly dressed up carefully before coming. She still couldn't hide her haggard expression. The moment she saw me, her eyes lit up, and she rushed straight toward me. Jiashu. Then she noticed my hand tightly clasped with Chen Shui's, and the rest of her words got stuck in her throat. Her expression changed instantly. She rushed over and forcefully pried our hands apart. What are you doing? Her voice was sharp, drawing glances from people around. Why are you so intimate? Chen Shui's hand hadn't fully healed yet, and Song Jia's action made her frown and let out an involuntary groan. What's wrong? I forcefully pushed Song Jia's hand away, carefully checked if Chen Shui's hand was okay, and shielded her behind me. Seeing me like this, Song Jia's eyes instantly reddened. Lin Jiashu, you really know how to treat me right. Do you have any idea how much I suffered when I didn't know if you were dead or alive? If it weren't for the no-fly zone there, I would have come looking for you long ago. And you actually got together with this vixen. Then she pointed at Chen Shui and said, and you, I handed you such a career-making opportunity in the industry and told you to take good care of Jiashu for me, and this is how you take care of him. I suppose you've already taken him to bed. Watch me tear you apart, you little bitch. As she spoke, Song Jia charged at Chen Shui. I never expected that this usually dignified and composed woman would act like a common shrew, about to strike Chen Shui, completely on instinct. I kicked out and landed a blow right to her lower abdomen. The force was so great that Song Jia flew backward 3 or 4 meters. I looked at her and suddenly laughed. How could anyone be so utterly shameless? Why would I be in danger? I stepped forward, lowering my head and glaring at her angrily. Who was it that sent me away for another man? And now you come pretending to care. Get lost. Just looking at you makes me sick. Her face turned pale. She struggled to get up and tried to defend herself. Jiashu, can we go home and talk about this? I can explain everything, but I wouldn't give her the chance. I don't need an explanation. I only believe what I saw with my own eyes. You were the one who sent me to the battlefield for another man, and you were the one who gave away the position I deserved to someone else. Tears streamed down her face, and her attitude was more humble than I had ever seen. Jiashu, I know it's all my fault, but how can a woman you've known for less than a year compare to the years we've been together? Enough. I couldn't stand hearing her say this. And interrupted her loudly. How dare you bring up our years together? Do you know who dug me out of the rubble, who carried me for miles to find a hospital? Her lips began to tremble, but she couldn't utter a word. It was her. I pointed at Chen Shui and continued. She, a girl 5 years younger than me, with her own flesh and blood fingers, nails split and broken, pulled me back from the jaws of death. And you, with those hands, you brought me a bowl of sleeping pills. The color drained from Song Jia's face, and she collapsed onto the ground as if all her strength had left her. Without looking back at her, I took Chen Shui's hand and walked past her. 10. I rented a temporary place outside. The home where we lived together for 3 years was bought by Song Jia, and there's hardly anything of mine in it. It's not worth dealing with her again just for a few pieces of clothing. The rented place isn't big, but it's cozy and clean. On the walls hang photos of us from various places we've visited, and on the shelves are little trinkets I casually gave her. I didn't expect she'd kept them all. That evening, Song Jia called. Why aren't you home? Her voice carried a questioning tone. I'm a bit speechless. Song Jia, are you out of your mind? We've broken up. Why would I go back to your place? She was silent for a few seconds, then her voice softened. Jiashu, I was wrong. Can we make up? No, I've discussed it with the higher-ups. You can be the director, and I'll be the deputy. What do you think? Of course, that's how it should have been in the first place. My tone was anything but polite. After all these years of fighting tooth and nail for the TV station, in my eyes, even the station director's position would not be too much for me. She was silent for a moment longer, then said, I've already transferred Jiang Chen away. He won't be showing up at the company anymore. I'll buy you a car. Haven't you always wanted to switch to a Li Auto? Let's start over. I won't be like that ever again. No, transfer Jiang Chen back to me. My answer surprised Song Jia. But she still did as I said. I finally managed to become the director, and that two-faced bitch actually wanted to run. No way. 11. After my vacation ended, I directly took the director's seat, and the station head personally held a welcome ceremony for me. As the saying goes, a new broom sweeps clean. Naturally, the first target of this sweeping would be Jiang Chen. After the welcoming ceremony ended, I couldn't wait a single minute and directly called Jiang Chen into my office. Jiang Chen entered with a very respectful attitude, but from his tightly clenched fists, it was still clear that he was very nervous. Director, you wanted to see me. Yes, there is something, but it's good news. My attitude was very amiable. I was now a big leader, and even if I wanted to settle scores, I had to keep up appearances. Come, Xiao Jiang, have a seat. I pointed to the chair across from my desk. This time, I've secured a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you. The corners of Jiang Chen's mouth twitched a few times. Clearly, he didn't believe I had such good intentions. With a flattering smile on his face, he said, Director, could I choose not to go? No, I refused bluntly. Don't worry, this is just a simple undercover investigation. We've received information that a remote brick kiln has been defaulting on workers' wages. All you need to do is pretend to apply for a job there, get the full picture, and report on it. Then you'll be a sensation, whether you like it or not. Really. The moment Jiang Chen heard he would become a sensation, his eyes lit up brighter than a light bulb. Someone who had been too well protected. It was time to teach him a lesson about the dangers of the world. Of course, I've arranged everything. Go back and get ready. I fought hard to suppress the corners of my mouth from curling upward, then went over a few more precautions with him. Then, after expressing his deep gratitude, he said goodbye to me and went back to prepare. After seeing Jiang Chen off, I raised my hand to check my watch. It was already noon, time for lunch. When I arrived at the cafeteria, Song Jia saw me and quickly walked over. She was holding a transparent lunchbox, and I could see that the contents were quite abundant. Jiashu, why are you only coming to eat now? No matter how busy you are as the director, you need to take care of your health. I made this myself. I practiced for a long time. Here, have a taste. After saying that, she handed the food box to me. I looked at her, and her gaze carried a cautious, probing look, but I didn't take it. My eyes swept across the cafeteria. It was already past the peak dining hours, with only about a dozen people eating. There are so many people in the news department. How is this little bit enough for anyone? If you're going to make them, make more boxes next time, one for each person. Having said that, I turned to leave with the cafeteria meal, but Song Jia called out to stop me. Her eyes were red and glistening, her voice full of pleading. Jia Shu, I spent a whole week practicing at home to make this. It was really hard for someone who's never cooked before. Next time I'll make more. For now, just take this. Consider it as you feeling sorry for me. Alright, no need. I'm afraid you might have put something in it. When Song Jia heard what I said, her heart ached sharply. She never expected that the person who used to be so obedient and gentle to her, the kindest person to her in the whole world, could now be so heartless, but it was all her fault. She was the one who pushed him away. Still, she wouldn't give up. Ever since she was little, once she set her mind on something, she had to see it through. In the following days, Song Jia often treated everyone to coffee, but for me, she brought black tea, knowing it was my favorite. For every holiday, whether local or foreign, she prepared a gift for everyone, but mine was more precious. On top of that, she also attended social engagements on my behalf, each time drinking until her stomach hurt. As for the food and drinks he gave me, I threw them all away, and the gifts I regifted to others as souvenirs. She knew all that, but she never complained, nor did she stop, and I never tried to stop her. If she wants to give, let her give. After all, it's all what she owes me. Time passed quickly, and a month went by in the blink of an eye. That day I was in the office, reviewing the day's news story selections and looking over upcoming interview plans. The assistant knocked and came in. "Director, I have 2 things to report to you today, one good and one bad." I glanced at him. It was all because I'm usually too approachable that the young people under me feel comfortable joking around. "Go ahead, Director." Jiang Chen was rescued and sent to the hospital for emergency treatment. I heard he had only been there a few days before he was discovered. Not only does Tian have to do the heaviest work, but he is also constantly beaten and punished. It's a good thing we struck in time, otherwise, TSK. I just got back from the hospital. Oh dear. Seeing him shake his head with that frightened expression, I could imagine just how badly Jiang Chen must be suffering, but my face remained expressionless. I had to stay composed. Even though the assistant is one of us, laughing out loud still wouldn't be appropriate. "Well, I've heard the good news, so what's the bad news?" "The bad news." The assistant was stunned for a moment, then quickly caught on. "Oh, right, the report you sent back from the battlefield last time won the National Special Award for Journalism. If you ask me, after our station director retires this year, that position is definitely yours." Cough. I cleared my throat. "Don't speak of things without substance. I'm still young, and there may be others in the station who are more outstanding than me. Don't go spreading this around. Go to the hospital now and tell the doctor that Jiang Chen must be cured at all costs. There's a casino undercover case in Southeast Asia that he has to take on." The assistant acknowledged and withdrew. Just as I was secretly celebrating, the door opened again. It was Chen Shui. Her way of dressing and presenting herself was now worlds apart from the casual girl she used to be. Nourished by my care, her skin had become fair with a rosy glow, and she looked exceptionally radiant. "Jiashu, what are you up to?" She came over to me as she spoke. I took the chance to pull her into my arms and sit her on my lap. "What, you miss me already after such a short time apart?" I gave her a kiss and teased her. "Stop it, what if someone comes in and sees us?" She pushed me away, then looked me in the eye and said, "I have some good news to tell you." "You have good news too?" "My goodness, what's going on? How come there's so much good news today?" "Of course, guess what it is," she said, putting on a mysterious air. She had good news too. Could it be? My eyes fell on her lower abdomen. "Are you saying I'm going to be a dad?" "How did you know?" Chen Shui asked, her eyes wide with surprise. "I only just found out from the test myself." "Really? That's wonderful, honey. I'll book a restaurant, and we'll go out to celebrate, just the 2 of us." "Pat," a sound came from the door. We looked over and saw Song Jia standing there in a daze. Her eyes were red-rimmed and her expression was shattered. At her feet lay a broken food box, with the curry beef rice inside spilled all over the floor. "What you just said, is it true?" Song Jia clenched her fists tightly, as if using every ounce of her strength to force those words out of her throat. "It's true." Chen Shui calmly rose from my lap. Her expression was gentle, but her tone was very firm. "It's perfectly normal for my fiancé and me to have a child. What's all the fuss about?" "I didn't ask you. I want him to tell me himself." Song Jia lost her composure and shouted, her eyes fixed directly on me as if demanding an explanation. Chen Shui stepped forward a few paces, blocking her line of sight. "He doesn't want to talk to you. Ever since you sent him to the battlefield, he's had nothing to say to you. That said, I still need to thank you for giving me such a wonderful and successful man." Chen Shui was no longer the inexperienced young girl who needed protection. Now, her presence was in no way inferior to the once formidable Song Jia. "But I told you, we were going to get married when he came back. It's all your fault, you slut. You seduced him. I'll tear you apart." As she spoke, Song Jia had already lunged at Chen Shui. Oh no, by the time I realized what was happening, it was too late. Smack, a resounding slap echoed, and Song Jia was knocked to the ground. Chen Shui rotated her wrist. She had used so much force that her entire palm felt slightly numb. "Are your hands okay?" I took Chen Shui's hand and examined it carefully. "It's fine. If she loses her mind again, I can still hit her." "Jia Shu, she hit me." Song Jia fell to the ground, her tearful eyes waiting for me to help her up. "Serves you right. I'll tell you this one last time. The moment you chose to send me to the battlefield for another man, it proved that my life means less to you than a man you've known for less than a year, a woman with such a venomous heart. Just looking at her makes me sick. Get the hell out of here right now, if you come bothering us again. Don't blame me for making sure you can't work at the station anymore." After hearing what I said, Song Jia walked out in tears without another word. Pushing her way forward, her mind was completely occupied with one question: how did it come to this? Back then, the two of them had been so deeply in love. Was it because her position had grown higher and higher, and the more she mingled with high society, the more she was dazzled by the glitter and glamour? She still remembered the first time she took Jiang Chen to a social engagement. He had just graduated and was assigned here for an internship. That day, her assistant was on urgent leave, and she happened to have a business dinner. Jiang Chen came by to deliver some documents, so she asked him to tag along. After the meeting, while relaxing at the club, some people teased, "You've never shown interest in men before, finally come around. This one's not bad, still a greenhorn, isn't he? Oh ho ho, look at him, he's actually blushing. Who would have thought she seems aloof but is actually the most fun, haha." Seeing everyone tease Jiang Chen, Song Jia couldn't help but come to his rescue. "He's a fresh graduate, and we just happened to bring him along this time, don't bully him." Everyone exchanged knowing smiles, nodding as if to say they understood completely. From then on, Song Jia began bringing Jiang Chen to every social engagement. Though she never said it out loud, she secretly enjoyed the feeling. Later, she used her authority to give Jiang Chen many good resources, even making Lin Jiashu take on dangerous field missions on his behalf. Having spent years in the office, she had no idea how dangerous the battlefield truly was, or perhaps Lin Jiashu's flawless track record gave her a false sense of security. It wasn't until something happened to Lin Jiashu that she realized how much she needed him, and that bringing Jiang Chen along had only been an act of vanity. It wasn't until another woman appeared by Lin Jiashu's side and he no longer wanted her that she realized how terribly wrong she had been. She had thought that as long as she didn't cheat, she wasn't betraying him, and even believed that coming back to marry him was a great favor she was bestowing upon him. Now she understood that excessive indulgence could also cause irreparable harm. He was about to become a father, and after she was hit just now, Lin Jiashu even said she deserved it. The look on his face suggested he wanted to hit her himself. Thinking of this, her heart ached as if being twisted by two large hands. Bang! The pain in her head brought Song Jia back to her senses. It turned out she had bumped into the station chief. "Song Jia, you have two eyes. Don't you watch where you're going?" The station chief staggered from the collision, frowning with displeasure. "What's going on with you lately? You've been absent-minded, and you keep making mistakes at work." "Sorry, station chief, maybe I haven't been resting well, I'll go take a break." Song Jia just wanted to find a place to cry her heart out, so she apologized and tried to leave. "Wait, I have something to tell you all. Recently, our correspondent stationed in Haiti was seriously injured. We need to select a capable person to take over. By the way, your Chen Shui has been performing very well recently. She was also personally trained by Xiao Lin, so the research team has decided to send her. When you meet, let her know. I have other matters to attend to, so I won't be going." 13. When Song Jia told me about this, she still held a glimmer of hope in her heart. Haiti is such a chaotic and impoverished place. No resident journalist had ever returned from there unscathed. Now that Chen Shui might never come back from this trip, Song Jia felt she had a real chance. But as I looked at that assignment document, my face remained completely expressionless, yet my tone was very firm. "Chen Shui is pregnant, she can't go, then there's really no one else suitable." Song Jia's voice was very low, filled with a shaitan type tone. "You go, start preparing now, I'll report the specifics to the higher-ups." I spoke in a commanding tone, leaving no room for negotiation. "Me?" Song Jia pointed at herself, staring at me in utter shock. She couldn't believe I was pushing her into hell without the slightest hesitation. "Jia Shu, after all these years of our relationship, you're sending me to a place like that for another woman?" "I am." "Miss Song really has a short memory, doesn't she? Weren't you the one who did the exact same thing not long ago? How come you can't take it when it's your turn?" After hearing these words, Song Jia felt as if she had been slapped hard across the face, a stinging, burning pain. Now that she felt her heart tearing apart in agony, Lin Jiashu must have felt exactly the same way back then, seeing her open her mouth but make no sound, silently shedding tears. I felt quite annoyed in my heart. "Go back and get ready, even if you don't go, I have plenty of other ways." Seeing that she still didn't move, I couldn't be bothered with her anymore. I picked up my jacket from the chair and said, "My wife has soup simmering at home, so I won't stay here to cry slowly with you." With that, I walked out without looking back. Half a month later, while Chen Shui's belly was still not too noticeable, we went ahead with the wedding. Everyone from the news department and the station's leadership came. Only one person was absent, and that was Song Jia. At that moment, She was on a plane to Haiti, sending a message on her phone, then she lay back against the headrest with her eyes closed, tears streaming down her cheeks. Chen Shui and I were on stage being asked if we were willing to take care of her for the rest of our lives. Just then, my phone rang, and out of professional habit, I picked it up and glanced at it. Wishing you 100 years of happiness together, growing old side by side. I turned off the screen. Who was that? Honey, it's your turn to say, I do. I glanced at the stunningly beautiful bride beside me and said, nothing, just a spam text. Then I looked at the wedding officiant and said earnestly, I do, the end.